Haha, hi, how you doing? So, FIFA's dead, not because it's actually dead, but because the end of FIFA is now here, and we are about 2-3 weeks away from the beginning of the EAFC era. For good or for bad, I don't think it'll make really any difference whatsoever, but hey, I was playing some games the other day, because I'm a gamer, okay? But yeah, I was playing some games, and I put on a video called, like, ranking every single COD Zombies map ever, and the video was like 2 hours long. I listened to all of it because I was just playing games and having something on the background. So I kind of just thought, well, I like to ramble and talk about nonsense forever, so why not do a video ranking every single FIFA that I've personally played? Because when I do a video like this, people always complain saying, where's FIFA 98? Well, bro, I wasn't alive. So yeah, I'm going to start from like FIFA like 07, 06. I don't really know. They all kind of blur into one for me. That's basically just like nostalgia. Like, when I think of like FIFA 06, I think of like, you know, my 8th birthday party. You know what I mean? But yeah, smash a like on this video. I kind of just felt like talking about FIFA. Like, yeah, I do like football video essays, whatever. It's not that serious, but I kind of felt like doing a long form video rambling about FIFA, and that kind of is what I've always done. But hey, at least now it makes some sense, because the end of FIFA is here, and this is kind of like the final bang. So yeah, this is my final hurrah, my final retrospective, my final thank you to the FIFA franchise for changing my life and also making me want to hurt myself. So yeah, smash the like button. Let's hit 3,000 likes or something like that. I don't know. And comment down below your top 3 favorite and also worst FIFAs that you've played. Tell me down below. And for this video, for the best football prints in the market, Mazzola Designs got a bunch of new prints on the site recently, a bunch of showcase featured prints from this current season to showcase your club's favorite moments. Use code FIFA for 15% off. Link is down below, top of the description. And also, by the way, the Sancho video from like yesterday literally hit like 100,000 views in like 16 hours, I think 16 hours, which is, you know, nuts. So thank you, this is life changing and I cannot thank you enough. I don't know if this video will do any well because it's like a ranking FIFA video, but maybe it'll do well. I don't really care. I'll shut up now. Number 18, FIFA 23. Now, of course, you know, when people talk about recency bias and all of that, well, this may play a factor here, but look, I've been playing FIFA since FIFA 03, since I was 5, 6 years of age. I've been playing FIFA every single year for hours upon months, and this was the one that finally broke me. After all this time, after all of this, FIFA 23 is the one that I finally said no, and I stopped playing around October time. And you may say, well, that means you haven't really played the game properly, and you know, well, you can't really justify it being all the way down here because you've not played a game for longer than 2-3 months. But I don't care. It depends on what part of the game you really are looking at. Like career mode, and this is the main thing I'll say about career mode, it always has looked the part. That's the one thing I can never really discredit EA for, that when it comes to presentation, that career mode looks amazing. You want to go play in the Premier League in a career mode for your favourite club? Then there's no better experience really than FIFA career mode. I mean, you can do mods on like PES or now eFootball, but when I modded PES on PC, that was really cool too, with the more realistic gameplay. That was a really cool experience. But for an easy way just to get a good, enjoyable football experience, then FIFA career mode was always the go-to place. And, you know, that's something that's always decent, right? However, pro clubs, as always, is a mess, and so many bugs still isn't fixed, and the fact that crossplay wasn't even available in this game, despite the fact it was available in FUT, was also a complete mess and a joke. And then you go into Ultimate Team, and I love Ultimate Team. I put my life into Ultimate Team. I grinded through Foothead and Footbin, thinking about the best possible way to make a cool team, and I watched non-rare squad builders back in the day because I just cannot wait to get back home from school and go play some FIFA. I woke up 2 hours early to go play some FIFA before school, and I got so excited. I was just playing seasons. I was just playing the game because I wanted to play the game. And of course, I'm older now, I get that, and nostalgia plays a factor, but You couldn't pay me to wake up an hour early just to play FIFA. I've got zero urge anymore. The never-ending grind fest of Ultimate Team. And for this FIFA, it just got too much. All the objectives and all of the content every day, and the endless amount of incredibly stupid packs that they just put out there. There's so many different varieties of icons now that I can't even count. Remember Legends in like FIFA 14 when it first came out? That was huge, just one type of legend, and if you had one, it was like a big deal. Well, now there's like 8. I don't think I'm even lying. I think there's 8 different types of icons now, and I don't even know what they are even there for anymore. Nothing has any meaning. Your teams don't have any meaning because everyone else has an insane team with 10 players with the exact same traits and stats, but just because of a promo they are basically the same player. The feeling of progression has never felt any more pathetic than this game in my experience. That was the itch that got me wanting to stick with FIFA, is trying to build your team, and you get that feeling of progression. That is the best part of FIFA for me, that you feel like you actually are improving your team step by step, and you can feel that difference, and you get that big play, you can feel it, and it gets you excited, and you work towards it. And now it just feels like it's just given to you, and it doesn't feel rewarding, and that's the disconnect that I've always felt with FIFA nowadays. Of course, this is something that I've always said in all my FIFA videos, but it just felt the most egregious, the most lazy, the most just bare bones in this one. And that's why I put it dead last, because this is the final FIFA that I said enough. And I've not even talked about gameplay yet, but there's not much else to say other than the fact that it's just a boring game to play. Everyone in a high enough level plays pretty much the exact same way, where people are just controlling the same players the entire time. Everyone kind of plays in the exact same way, with the same tactics copied from YouTube tutorials from pros. And that may be a common trait you may see in the other FIFAs. And also, I've got to say, just to add one final thing. The World Cup edition, the World Cup DLC, whatever it is, right? The add-on. The most pathetic thing I've ever seen. How can we go so far backwards from what we used to have back in the day of 14 or even 18? The World Cup was the most exciting part of the year. You literally have it in your hands, and you gave us not even an Ultimate Team mode. You gave us just simply a sort of knockout mode thing with not even every stadium, but like 2 or 3. It was pathetic. Like, that alone put it dead last, because you had it in your hands. You had the opportunity right there to make it count, and you failed so disastrously. And for that alone, you shouldn't be forgiven for that, because that is pathetic. Truly pathetic. Number 17 and 16, FIFA 22, FIFA 21. I'm not even going to bother talking about these two in their own separate category, because in my opinion these two are the exact same game. You cannot tell me a single difference between these two games looking back on them. They have the same menu, the same type of gameplay, the same system when it comes to FUT, similar enough career modes. I mean, when it comes to career mode additions, they don't change that much anyway. All in all, these two for me is the exact same game, and if you please shut your eyes, and if I tell you FIFA 22 and FIFA 21, what do you think of? Because for me, I just think of a massive grey. And I played both of these two games. I played it a lot. I played throughout the entire year pretty much, and I cannot tell you a difference, really, between both these two games. They have no uniqueness to them, no character to them. They are just both the same blob when you play in the same stadiums the entire time. The only thing I would say is that 21 is at least better, is because at least FUT Champions meant something in this game. FUT Champions for me was probably the best part of FIFA, despite how annoying it was. It at least gave you a reason to get back into the game and to progress your team. That cycle of getting rewards actually felt like it meant something, and looking forward to Thursday to get your rewards was also a big deal. And since they've changed that from last year, I just cannot get into it, because I just feel like it just makes no difference anymore. When you're playing FUT Champions, which is meant to be the hardest game mode, and you're basically being gifted half your wins, and then you get gifted 100k packs and elite team of the week packs, like getting 3 informs in a pack used to be like insane back in 17, 18, even 19. Like, it was like a big deal, a big opportunity to really improve your team because it was hard to get. You had to be actually quite good to get it through getting elite. But now it's just gifted to you and everyone can get it now. Makes it completely irrelevant and boring to now get because it's no longer a challenge. So yeah, 21's better for that reason alone, but really both of these are just the same blob into the exact same games for me. So to end off this portion of this video, I did a tweet earlier today which really explained my feelings towards modern FIFA in a way that makes sense in my eyes and wasn't too rambly. So here we go. The current over-reliance on promos and content to compensate for the boring gameplay and game modes killed FIFA in my opinion. The best part of FUT is the feeling of improving your team step by step, and OG FUT Champs was competitive and gave you a big chance to add to your squad, and it made a difference. Having an insane player should be difficult. Having an icon should be difficult. It gave actual purpose to keep playing the game. The reason why first week of FIFA is so good is because the decisions you made actually mattered, and an upgrade from an Antonio to a Rashford was a huge moment. Now, every player feels the same. There's 100 versions of the same exact card with the exact same stats, but with a different player model and card type. Nothing matters, as you get gifted guaranteed icons and heroes in SBCs a month into the game, for no good reason. Icons and top cards are now gold rares for how common they are, making them now meaningless if everyone now has them. There's like 10 different icon types now. I don't even know how to talk. That blows my mind. Honestly, if I hear the word fodder one more time, I'm going to die. I see people pack Messi a few weeks into the game and put him into an SBC. All game modes are awful. Tragic. The skill gap is through the floor, and with no variety at all in how top level players play, trading is now punished most of the time, and if you're too good at trading, EA bans you or wipes your account. The community eats up the insane, ultra mega insane packs and player picks because it's the only thing that keeps them coming back, because actually playing the football game is tedious and boring. We are 3 years in from FIFA 20, which I believe this all started, this entire ultra mega content grind, and EA are now running out of ideas to keep players coming back. So we are now seeing packs with the title, the length of a paragraph, to describe what's in it. FUT Champions used to be challenging and sweaty as hell, and most times absolute BS, but God, it kept you coming back. The grind to get elite was hard. It was tense, but the feeling of getting a 3x Team of the Week pack was amazing. Now you get that as a guarantee, as most of your wins in Weekend League are gifted, as people give free wins because playing any further makes no difference than the bare minimum. For example, I went 0-20 in FUT Champs for a video, and I got a red Mbappe. Just absolute insanity. This is just scratching the surface for the current state of FIFA. I can go on and talk about this for hours upon hours on end, but my God, it's such a shame, as I just want to enjoy playing the game again, and EA are making money in this current format, more money than they would if they didn't do this, so they're going to keep doing it, and that's the worst part of it all, because they have no reason to change, because people keep eating it up. And it blows my mind. Simply blows my mind. People don't even want to play football in a football game. It's like playing Call of Duty just to spend all day spinning wheels and slot machines, collecting camos and parts to modify your gun. You log on at 6 each day for 15 minutes to go and spin these wheels, but not actually play the game and try out the gun. Most people collect these cards in FIFA just for the sake of it, to then put into more SBCs, because they don't even know what to do anymore. Because if they try to play the game, they hate it, or just find it boring. When I play FIFA, I don't get mad anymore. I don't get happy anymore. I just nothing it. FIFA is just nothing to me now. And one final thing as well, when it comes to the content creators, to end off this. content creators will not speak out about this publicly because they all feel the same as me. I've met pretty much every single content creator on the entire platform. I've spoken to pretty much all of them behind the scenes. Pro players, streamers, YouTubers, they all feel the same if they've played OG FIFA. But they won't say anything publicly. At least the vast majority. Because if they do, then it directly ostracizes their community. The community that they rely on to give streaming content for opening their packs and share plays, their player picks, and every single SBC under the sun. Because that is the majority of content when it comes to Twitch.tv. Most don't even play the game because people log off when you see you actually play football in a football game. So they stay quiet. And I don't blame them because they've got to make money somehow. But that's why people don't say much. And EA content game changers, they don't say anything either because, I mean, we all want a free trip to Berlin or a free shirt or game in a package once every month or so. How can you blame them? But that's why people stay quiet about it. That's, for me, how I can explain my thoughts and a lot of other people's thoughts on the current state of FIFA. And that wraps up this segment. Number 15, FIFA 09. It was okay. You know, like when I look back on my times playing FIFA, for some reason I just feel like FIFA 09 has something off with it. And because these FIFAs all play similar, you really are going by more the presentation, more the feel of the game, the look of the game, the graphics, everything else. And I just have much less of a memory playing FIFA 09 compared to all the other ones as well. You load into the game in the arena as you usually do, and then the menus was pretty basic. I remember it being quite dark, just kind of dingy at times, and especially if you had the kind of Brazil favela arena, it just looked really dark and just I didn't like the look of it really whatsoever. And the features are standard like any other FIFA, but I just feel like it was presented in a much worse way. I mean, there was game modes, you got management mode as usual, tournament mode. Xbox Live was simply just, you know, ranked matches, and that was really it. You got Be a Pro Seasons. That was a new feature for this year, which I think was quite a big deal, like a virtual pro career mode, basically a player career mode essentially. It gave you some sort of storyline at your club, some more customization for your player. So you basically start off as like a reserve player for the team that you select, and then you got basically 4 seasons to try to win the World Cup essentially, and to become a club legend at your team. So you got 4 seasons to go try to be a reserve to the best player in the world, and that was quite a big deal back in the days because, you know, having a player career mode is actually something that we never really had. There was also a mode called Adidas Live Seasons that basically looked at real life football, and you can kind of play through the real life football kind of week by week almost, and for the first time making it dynamic that if a player is in good or bad form in real life, that their ratings would be changed in the game. And this was seen as a big deal, that their real life performances actually adapt to their form in game. And that was pretty much it for the features. Like the management mode experience was pretty much the same as always. You do have like the creation zone that you can create players. That was kind of cool, but for the most part that was really it. And just my memories from this game just makes it a bit of a dud for me. Sorry FIFA 09 fans. Number 14, FIFA 16. Yeah, this is where people may get quite annoyed at me. This is quite a recent FIFA, or recent in the grand scheme of things for this game, and this is in that time period that a lot of people have a lot of memories playing this game, and this is when I was playing FIFA the most, really, and my core memories from this game was just really strange, and I find a lot of it quite forgettable. Like when you look back on FIFAs, especially in this time period, you have certain memories that you just know, you just remember from this, and it's core to you. And for this one, I don't really have much. I've got the kind of shards from the explosion of a pack, or the colour blue was pretty much everything everywhere. And really the only like unique thing that I find with this game is the fact that the stadium was in the background. For most menus you can like select the stadium in the background, so it's Old Trafford or for me Turf Moor or whatever. That was like a cool unique thing that we never really saw in any other FIFA. And when it comes to main features, features. It really was women's football that people played a game and then never touched ever again, so that was kind of a pointless feature. What was a big deal was foot draft in FUT. That was a massive new feature, and I think the problem with FIFA 16 is that because it comes straight after the run of 12, 13, 14, 15, and with 15 came the price ranges, and I feel like 16 kind of for a large chunk of that year was kind of playing catch up and was experiencing the hangover of a lot of frustration in the community at the time, and was trying to adapt to this new world of FIFA Ultimate Team where price ranges exist and people don't really know how to really play the game in the same way, because people's versions of progressing a team and trading with players had to be changed quite dramatically because of price ranges, and it kind of made people had to learn a new way to play the game, and a lot of people just simply didn't really like that. But I just simply see 16 as a very forgettable FIFA. I mean, even the cover art had goddamn Jordan Henderson on it for the UK version, like that kind of says it all. When you go into the gameplay features, and it had Play Beautiful, and it had Pele as a trailer, and I don't know, I just find this all kind of forgettable. I look back in it and I remember the green little shards and the blue background and career mode. So with career mode features, you've got really 3 or 4 new features, which was mainly the fact that you got pre-season tournaments that they bigged up quite a lot, but I think looking back, it's not really a big deal. Most people simply skip it anyway because they just want to play the game properly and not really play in these random tournaments. And then you got training mode. That was a main big new feature, and it is a big feature. To be fair, you can train your players and improve their stats more specifically, and that is a cool thing. So that is a big thumbs up in my regards when it comes to a big career mode feature. And you can kind of more specifically change their trainings and the training values and how that improves. And then I think the Bundesliga had like its own colours and its own branding, and that was pretty much it when it comes to career mode. I also remember when it comes to FUT, the card design being the most ugly looking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like the colour scheme, pack animation, and the menus and everything. I just look back on it and it looks so weird to me. So yeah, that's my kind of general thoughts on FIFA 16. Maybe you may love it a lot more, maybe like during your time of your life you kind of connect it to of your childhood, and I get that completely. For me, like, I played this in a similar time when I was at college and high school, and I just don't have as many memories to it compared to all the other ones, and I can't really put it down to many things other than the fact that it was simply quite forgettable for me, so I do apologise. Number 13, FIFA 07. Now, when looking back on these old FIFAs, this is really this is really just nostalgia, and it's kind of my own personal memory of these early FIFAs from my childhood, and I'll be honest, I don't have really many memories at all from this FIFA, compared to the others that I've got in this list. Of course, cover art was relatively okay, Wayne Rooney, Ronaldinho, you can't really go too wrong with that, but I feel like there are better covers. I think when you go back to these kind of old FIFAs, it's really hard to kind of judge, just because they are kind of all similar in their own sense, but they all had some great features. Manager mode being the most important feature of this, that they had some incredible features that were still never seen in FIFA, even in the modern times, for years to come. Simple things like a visual simulator. When you go through the game, you can see it play out like it is sort of like Football Manager. That wasn't seen in FIFA for like a decade until they brought it back. Things like sponsorship offers was in the game and still isn't put in the game even to this day, a decade and a half later. Things like coaches, which have just been put back in the EAFC now, was in this FIFA, and of course was a great little insight to put in as well. I mean, it feels really harsh, put it all the way down here, but I've just got more memories of the other FIFAs and more modern FIFAs than this one, and it doesn't make it a bad FIFA. It's just, I've got to put these older ones somewhere. Play this game to play with your friends and to play manager mode and to play random little tournaments as well, which you can just use your imagination, just play, and that was the beauty of gaming back in these days that a lot of it was your imagination. I remember going through the menus and just looking at the EA Sports extras, and there's so many little cool little funky gimmicks in there as well that I found just amazing. Having a fan shop was also in there as well. You could go buy different types of kits, retro kits and boots, and you know, things that you earned from in-game credits. You played well in the game, you get some little credits, and then you can go and buy like new boots and kits from your credits earned in game. So there was no such nonsense as microtransactions back in these days. And also create a club. I forgot there was even create a club in this FIFA too. So again, it feels really bad to be this low down. However, I'm simply just gonna put these somewhere. Number 12, FIFA 20. So let's talk about FIFA 20, shall we? FIFA 20 is a game which I think a lot of people have a lot of opinions on, mainly because of COVID, and I think COVID kind of changed a lot of people's opinions on this game, because a lot of people left stuck inside of their house, not doing much, therefore they played a lot of FIFA, or some did, some played Warzone a lot more, a lot of different games during the time period. But I think COVID kind of changes a lot of people's opinions when you look back on this FIFA. For me, this will always be seen as just in the same kind of camp as 21, 22, but because of that COVID element, when I look back on FIFA 20, I just remember it being so different in terms of gameplay when it comes to FIFA 19, and that the kind of colour scheme of it all looked a bit funky for me, like the greys and the pinks. You can customize the stadium. For example, you've got a tunnel for the pack opening animation, and then of course the main feature, the main addition, Volta. Oh God, this had such high expectations, man. When EA were promoting some sort of FIFA Street type of game mode inside of their game, I was so excited. I was ready to go, thinking, let's go. But when you played literally the first minute, you just knew that this was nothing that you expected it to be, and it took itself a bit too seriously for me. That's the issue that I found with Volta, that it felt like you were playing an actual just normal game of FIFA, normal match, but on a very tiny pitch. That's how it felt like for me. There was no real element of skill moves. Like when you compare it to, like, say, the 2014 version of FIFA Street, you had a lot more creativity when it comes to the skills you can use. And with this FIFA, there was a Volta Tour, a Volta Story, and a Volta League, and I like the effort that he put into it. And that is kind of what makes it a bit more annoying for me, the fact that they got some good fundamentals there. However, the actual gameplay itself was just too boring to really even play. Again, it felt like playing a normal match of FIFA but on a tiny pitch, and especially when you tried to play online, you can tell that it basically was people playing the exact same way as you played in FUT, but tried to do it in Volta. When we look at FUT when it comes to FIFA 20, I just kind of, I look at this game being almost a kind of downfall for what we see FUT now, because when it came to lockdown, you had the party bags being dropped in all these funky SBCs, and it kind of began the train of just never-ending packs and content in FUT. 19 was a bit more understanding in terms of it kind of distributed the rewards to you in a more timely fashion, that it didn't feel like you were just gifted it without even trying. It felt like you worked hard for it. There were some great little promos in this, and I remember playing it quite a lot, but I don't know if that is because of COVID or not, because I remember giving it a break around November time and not really playing it during the entire Footmas period, and I came back around February, March, where COVID kind of happened. So yeah, I think that may be a big factor in terms of how people look back in this FIFA, that if there wasn't COVID and people being locked down inside their house, that would you have enjoyed this game as much? And I think for some people it would be no. But I cannot ignore the amount of problems that came from career mode this year. I remember just trying to play like a normal career mode, like with Burnley, and I was playing against like Arsenal, and they were just putting up the B team or even C teams. Career mode was a disaster to try to play this FIFA. It was awful. So many random glitches that they were just playing so many awful players. Like I can play against Man City and they got just random players playing, like Garcia and Mnetsia and Gomez in midfield and just Scott Carson in goal, and it just felt so dumb to play. The press conferences was like cool for like trailers, but really there was no depth to it whatsoever. And yeah, even the gameplay was like very different. It was like drag back heavy, and Ben Yedder was like the main player the entire year. And when you compared this FIFA the gameplay to 19, it is so different, and I can give it credit for that. It is a different experience playing the game. And that could be for good or for bad reasons. So yeah, 20, I just don't really like it looking back on it now. And just missing out on number 11, we've got FIFA 06. So yeah, FIFA 06. You may be quite surprised to see it, like, I don't know where you thought it would be. I can't put it like in like the top 5s or maybe in top 10s, depends on like how you see it nostalgic wise. For me, the other FIFA is what I have much more connection to, but FIFA 06 I look back on and it was great. I love it. The menus were very well known, but I love the little tiny features that you kind of just don't have nowadays. You got like the extras from the fan shop, you got the World 11 team you can go and unlock with points that you earn in game. You've got classic player bios. You can go unlock Eric Cantona or Zico, the kind of bios, and look back into that kind of history of football, and I found it really cool. I mean, the cover for me is what really sells it. I mean, that rainy cover art with Vizeh and Ronaldinho I just find so iconic. And if you are kind of cheating, you can kind of count the FIFA 06 road to the FIFA World Cup on this as well, and maybe the 2006 FIFA World Cup game, but you can't really count that. But the FIFA 06 road to the FIFA World Cup, you can kind of definitely count, definitely. Soundtrack, great, iconic. It is what you want from a FIFA game. This was the first FIFA that wasn't in that FIFA football brand, so it kind of sticks out more to me that this is really where FIFA started in the way that we think of it. The older ones it's got a different feeling to it, how it all kind of comes across, the menus. This was a big shift, like when it comes to the presentation, when it comes to how everything is kind of shown to you and the feel of the game. It was a big shift for me. And yeah, FIFA 06 I have a lot of memories of. Manager mode was a huge step in the right direction. There were so many cool little features on this as well. Staff upgrades are still here. Career mode, you got things you could change your ticket prices. You got a fan affinity rating. You've got your board rating when it comes to how secure your job is. And I just look back on this FIFA and think, yeah, it's pretty cool. Even the lounge was also really cool as well. The lounge feature was really cool, which for most parts FIFA back in these days, you had you had your friends around at your house, your brothers, your sisters, or your dad, and you can go play FIFA, and you have a lounge mode where you put everyone's name in, you go play in a kind of random tournament, and it keeps up with all these stats, and I found that also really neat too. There was no real such thing as online play back in these days, so that wasn't really needed, but manager mode was great. The soundtrack was great. Lounge mode was also really cool, and the gameplay was a big shift compared to FIFA 05, and for that I remember that really well. So yeah, very solid experience. Number 10, FIFA 10. It's like bingo here. I didn't mean for this to happen, but it is FIFA 10. FIFA 10 for me felt like a big step into what we know FIFA now. You got the introduction of FIFA Ultimate Team, or at least in the way that we know now. There was FUT back in 09, but it was a bit different. It was a DLC, and I just feel like FIFA 10 is kind of where you look at it and think, yeah, okay, that's FUT, and 09 was similar, but a bit of a different animal. You've also got a brand new system that it is a 360 new way of playing the game, and that doesn't mean 360 like Xbox 360, that is 360 dribbling. A big thing that before, back in the day, when you played on the OG pads on PS2 or whatever, that you can only really move like up, down, or like top right or bottom right or right. You were kind of limited on how you could actually play, but this was a big new thing. You can move anywhere in any direction technically, and that was a big deal. The practice arena, you can actually customize and improve and practice set pieces too. This game kind of just felt right when it comes to everything coming together, making a lot more sense. You had much more of an actual identity with FIFA. in comparison to FIFA 09, the menus were a lot more brighter, and I like that a lot. Big new features when it comes to Virtual Pro. That was a new feature, and that you can actually have much more customization in having a pro and improving them, customizing them and putting them to your team and playing with them. You also had Pro Club Championship, a brand new Xbox Online feature to add to online team play, and also head-to-head matches offline, ranked or unranked, and that was also a new thing as well. You could actually go play with your friends on FIFA together in the same team while not being next to each other. That was kind of a big wow deal. Live Season 2.0 as well. They tried live seasons in the year beforehand. This was a bit more detailed, and it was kind of the same concept. Real life performances impacts how a player will play in game. Their ratings, their attributes will be adapted week by week. Manager mode was kind of the same experience, but I just felt like it looked a lot better and just kind of was packaged a lot more neater. You still had sponsorships in manager mode. You still had XP for your players, so skill XP or physical or mental XP, and that can change based on your performances in your manager mode. Staff upgrades are still here. Your match ticket prices were still here, and yeah, it was a really good experience. And this was when they started taking out some features like, you know, staff upgrades, when you actually had a staff member for attacking midfield, fitness, head scout, negotiator, stadium manager. This is kind of where they took it out, so that was a big shame, really. Also, by the way, week by week, you actually got a board summary. And of course, I do need to go into FUT. I mean, FIFA 09 did have Ultimate Team. How FUT was in that game isn't really how we think of it now. It was much more into card collecting. You actually had a collection book that I found really cool, and how that isn't still in the game now is mental to me. You had bronze, silver, and gold packs, and that was really it. You got coins, and it cost like 5,000 coins for a pack. But FIFA 10 was the origin of Ultimate Team, the way that we think of it now. You got a variety of cards from all the best leagues and players in the world, from bronze, silver, or gold ratings. You got chemistry system in the way that we always kind of think of it, but a bit of a difference. You got formation cards on players, that also plays a factor too. I remember just the smile on my face playing this game and just thinking, wow, like there's so much opportunity, there's so much that's possible. And it was a mind-blowing thing. Like, I can't really explain to you how big of a deal this was compared to FIFA that we've always known it from years prior, to Ultimate Team, and you can go and play with all these players in one team, and you can build it step by step. It was like, pff, what? Because beforehand, all online was playing with Real Madrid in the ranked matches, and that was pretty much it. Like, you only played with real life teams, and everyone picked Real Madrid. Like, everyone picked Real Madrid forever. But yeah, this was really when it kind of all started when it comes to this game. Number 9, FIFA 11. Right, so we're here in FIFA 11. A much better improvement on FIFA 10 for me when it comes to gameplay, when it comes to my personal memories of this game. Wayne Rooney and Kaka being the main cover stars. Career mode looking a lot more different. It had a different menu, better UI. So they had a new feature called Be a Goalkeeper, which I mean, that was an interesting one, I can't lie. I don't think many people really played it too much. I think people gave it a go because it was like a new feature. However, I don't know anyone that actually really enjoyed it from my memory. Mainly because you spend a large chunk of the game kind of just waiting for the ball to come to you, and the rest of it you're just kind of watching the game with AI just brain dead, passing to each other and missing easy opportunities. 11v11 team play was a thing, basically pro clubs. That was also a new addition and kind of where we saw that. Also, celebrations. You actually had, for the first time, you can control your own celebrations. That was also a big, like, wow, you can go and basically run to the halfway line and be a bit of a knob when you score in the 90th minute. FIFA 11 is where we really see FIFA become FIFA, that what we know of it now. The menus, the soundtrack, you got ranked quick match as well, but you also had FUT that was a lot more detailed compared to FIFA 10. Everyone was a skill beast back in these games. Like, everyone was able to use like silver cards, Brazilvers, and just skill from the halfway, and long shots were mental back in these games. Pace was pretty much everything. This was a arcade game, like finesse shots, OP, long shots, OP, and it didn't take itself seriously really at all. Defending was pretty just average for the most part, but people just didn't really care because it was meant to be fun, and that was what this game was. You was able to do skills, and it felt really exciting to do skills. It felt so rewarding to do it too. Roulettes and Berber spins and Ronaldo chops. I remember just doing that pretty much every single day. I wasn't that good at this FIFA, but I just remember long shots being so stupid. Like, anywhere was just possible to score from, like 45 yards out. If you got like Yaya Toure or something, you can smash it. It's a goal, yeah. The goalkeepers were very questionable, but again, people didn't really care. Free kicks were also really fun to do too. This was FIFA when it was touching its peak, but it just had a few little things missing. There was a general lack of content when it comes to FUT in terms of things to do. You didn't really care too much, but you kind of wanted a bit more. I remember loading into the game, you got Kaká walking down the tunnel at Real Madrid, and you got the main menu, you got that kind of like big board screen to the right hand side, and it's just iconic to me. You go load to FUT, and you got the kits in the bottom right, you got some team of the years or team of the seasons or informs in top right, your record, your trophies, your coins you can trade in this game. You got a trade power that was only limited to like 30, and it blew my mind. By the way, I must say, just because FIFA 11 is number 90 doesn't mean that it's a bad game by any means. It simply is, I just don't have as many memories playing this game. This is my own list from my personal memory, my own personal experiences. I don't have too much with FIFA 11 in the same way compared to the other games, and that's why it's number 9, and I'm sure for some people it'll be even higher up if you're a bit older, but for me, I was maybe a bit too young to really appreciate FUT, mainly because I was awful. Yeah, it's a good game. Number 8. I'm not doing this on purpose, I'm sorry. FIFA 08. Okay, so I didn't mean for FIFA 08 to be number 8. I didn't mean for that to happen, but yeah, FIFA 08, when I look back in the OG FIFAs, in that kind of OG time period, when it was all kind of retro, I don't know, man, maybe it's a cover art. Paint splatter effect of Rooney and Ronaldinho, but my good lord, FIFA 08 is just a game. I remember having it on PS2, and then on PSP. I played it on my PSP at Christmas Day. I got it as a Christmas gift, and I just remember playing FIFA 08 every day. Every goddamn day. Career mode was endless, and manager mode was the same as any other FIFA, but when I look back on the gameplay of it, this is how I remember FIFA, like, of my childhood. This menu, when I look at it, when I look back at it, this is OG FIFA. This is the menus and how everything's placed, the soundtrack, the feel of the game, the gameplay. When I think of FIFA, this is for me OG FIFA. And I don't know why. It's my own personal choice. This is what I relate to the most. I can't really say too much more about FIFA 08, other than just the fact that it's my own personal, like, first FIFA that I really, really got into. And that is really all I need to say. Like, I can't say much more, because gameplay-wise, it is kind of similar to the other ones, and features, it is kind of similar to the other ones, so it's just kind of my own personal, this is the one that I played the most, and that really got me into FIFA much more. I was like 9 at this time of my life, so yeah. That's really it, I'm sorry. Number 7. FIFA 18. Okay, so that is the old FIFAs and the kind of real new FIFAs out the way. Now we're entering the kind of time period that you're probably expecting to see when it comes to the end game of this. So let's get into it. So yeah, number 7 is FIFA 18, and this may come as a surprise to some people. This was a FIFA that really saw me become the YouTuber that I am. This is a game that gave me its big break. This will always have a special place in my heart, because of what it means to me as a person and what it did for me in my career. But I simply just don't remember playing this game much at all. when it comes to FUT. The career mode was really cool. It had some great features that made it stand out compared to the other FIFAs. You got icons being a feature. You got the Journey Part 2 in there as well. Ronaldo being a cover star, that's like a big deal as well. You got legends now turning into icons, and there's 3 different versions of icons, or technically actually 4. I remember just the color scheme of this game just being really bright and really cool, and like I found that really nice. It's a great game, and the soundtrack was alright. It was okay. Like, it wasn't the best by any means. Looking back on it, I wasn't the biggest of fans when it comes to the FUT. Like, everything was the way that it was meant to be. However, I simply just sucked. There's really no other reason of the fact that I wasn't good. I wasn't good at FUT. I simply just didn't get with the gameplay. FUT Champions was like 40 games per weekend, and I just simply just couldn't do it. Like, I think because of 17, I kind of was drained of playing 40 games, so I simply just didn't bother a large chunk of the time, if any. Especially as during this time of my life, I was always going away for burning games at the weekends, and I was basically traveling for like an entire day and a half in buses, so I simply did not have the time to actually go and play 40 games a week in League. It just wasn't possible for me. Career mode had a nice little boost, some little animations, some cutscenes here or there that made it spice up a little bit. Man of the match rewards. I remember the gameplay just being really sort of like contrasty, and looking back at the actual graphics, it looks really good. But yeah, I'm putting it down on the list because I simply wasn't good at this game, so that's the main reason why. And of course, how I can forget the FIFA World Cup DLC, the Russia 2018 World Cup. Probably a big reason of why this should be probably higher up. And really, yeah, it should be higher up. The thing is, for me, with the DLC for this FIFA, was that it should have been so much better. However, they put in this icon SBC within like the first week of the game. Like 5 days in, they put in this icon repeatable SBC, and it was like an 83 rated team that everyone can afford many times. So it kind of made that progression of really improving your team. That was the best part about the DLC. It kind of made it almost worthless within like 5 days. And for me, I will always never forgive them, because that was just so frustrating. That it should have been this really cool fresh slate with the World Cup, and it just didn't bother, and I found that really sad. It gave me my kind of YouTube career. I'll always remember it very fondly. However, I sucked at the game, so I can't like it too much, because I really just wasn't good. Number 6, FIFA 19. Okay, so 19 is a weird FIFA, and it sounds weird, but I want to put it higher up. I really do. I want to put it higher up, you know. However, I simply cannot deal with the comments if I put it higher up, because I think a lot of people don't like this game. Like, people would be already annoyed by the fact that it is already this high up, FIFA 19 gameplay wise. However, hear me out here. FIFA 19 was like the Modern Warfare 2 of the FIFA franchise. I've said this before like a year or two ago, and I'll keep saying it. FIFA 19, gameplay-wise, was completely stupid. Like, it was dumb. There was so much madness with it. You got Lacazette to El Tornadoes to first-time finesse shots to all that, right? And it wasn't a football game. But hear me out. It was still fun. Like, Modern Warfare 2 had so much that was wrong with it when it comes to actual gameplay balancing. When it comes to one-man army noob tubes, just noob tubes alone is just annoying, but one-man army as well. You've also got the UMP and all the OP kill streaks that if you are kicking ass, then there's no better feeling. Even though it's completely just nonsense. If you're doing these first time finesse shots, these Lacaquetas, and it's kicking off and it's El Tornadoes and you're doing it well and you're succeeding with it, there's no better feeling, because it feels like you're just kicking ass. And you kind of want to keep on doing it. That kind of endless gameplay loop, addicting in a sense, and I can't really explain it, but it felt fun. Because even though it was really, really OP, it wasn't hard to do. So it kind of made it feel like anyone can do it. And yeah, it sounds dumb, right? But I remember playing the game a lot. I played this game a lot, and I remember being really good at it, because the skill gap was a lot lower. And I don't know, I've just got much better memories of this FIFA than really any other, especially compared to 18. You got icon SBCs. FUT Champions was reduced from 40 games to 30, and that was a massive massive shift in the right direction, and I loved FUT Champions. I took the game so seriously. This was when I really took FUT Champions seriously, because even in 17 I played it a lot, I enjoyed it, but I still sucked. But I dealt with it because it was FUT Champions and not FIFA. But 19, I actually felt like I had much more of a chance, and I felt like it was more around me and my kind of lifestyle, and I got elite with it, and it was a big deal. There was the Icon SBCs, but it wasn't too much. It wasn't really too much at all. Like, it felt like a big deal when an Icon pack was out. There was the Icon SBCs. You can go and work towards which icons you want, but it was hard to get them. Therefore, it felt like you had to really make a tough decision in terms of what you want to go for next, and I like that element. I think there was a perfect balance. For me, this game had a perfect balance of risk and reward and fun and chaos at the same time. It was chaos in a way that it was complete BS, but it was like beautiful BS. I can't really explain it other than the fact that it is the Modern Warfare 2 of the FIFA franchise, and you either really love it or you despise it, and I'm in the love camp. I simply can't put it any higher than the other FIFAs because of that element that it was so much of a nonsense that I think people would really have a go at me if I do put it any higher up than this. There's something about that colour blue with Ronaldo in that OG kind of Juve shirt that I just find iconic now, and career mode had some really cool things. You also had like Champions League put in the game. That was like a big wow. You got Champions League, got Europa League in the game. That was a big deal, and I find that really cool to look back on. That was the first time that was in the game. I mean, career mode wasn't really much different compared to 18, to be fair. Let's be honest here. So 18 was actually probably bringing in more new stuff compared to 19. But the Champions League, bro. It's got the right colour blue. Okay, so top 5 here. Top 5. And I'm going to go and put in number 5 here. Oh, you're going to hate me. Oh, you're going to hate me. But I got to. FIFA 12. FIFA 12 is my number 5. Everything in the top 5 here, including 19, I actually all love. Like, I got a lot of great memories playing all these FIFAs. And I do feel quite bad because I feel like younger people or older people, so I'm 25, right? So in this time of my life, I was in high school and college. And that is why I think if you are at a similar age to me, that all these FIFAs all kind of go back to your time in your life that you were like, you know, you're free, right? And if you're older, you may look at it a bit differently because, you know, you were at a different time in your life. And that is a big element when it comes to looking back on FIFAs and looking back on games in general, right? Nostalgia is a big factor. FIFA 12, looking back on it, was a game that I really took seriously. Like, I played all the other games properly, but 12 with FUT and with YouTube was a big factor, KSI and all the different content creators back in that time period as well. Skill compilations, like Skills was so fun to do in this FIFA. Brazil was serious. It was a serious game. I remember doing a FIFA 12 Accrington Stanley career mode, and I just did the same thing every game. I did like a fake shot to like a first time sort of finesse shot low into the corner because I was bad at the game, but I just did the same fake shot to finesse shot every game with the same player with some pace, and it worked every single time, and I didn't care because it worked. It were iconic. Wayne Rooney intro was iconic. The training arena was also iconic. I mean, it feels bad being number 5 here, but the thing is, the reason why is because the other games I just have for me, it had much more about it when it came to the gameplay. I mean, 12 was mental. Long shots were OP. Finesse shots anywhere. Like, finesse shots anywhere in the game was OP. Like, it didn't matter where you were. If you had a player with decent finesse, like decent curve, it's going in back of the net. I remember using like a sort of like, I think it was Olivier Giroud, like an Olivier Giroud card. I remember like Hatton Ben Arthur, mental, all the Brazilians. You got those sweat squads with Hulk, Elia, Ramirez, Nilmo, Wellington, David Luiz, Felipe Santana, Naldo. The Brazilians were mental. I remember just team of the season just being so cool. You got like the blue cards that was like so blue. I remember having like a Premier League team of the season Coloccini, and it was not even a good card, but it was blue, so who cared? When it comes to playing the game, you had like daily knockout tournaments with DKTs. That was a big deal as well. So it wasn't just playing games, you actually had kind of much more going on. That felt like you actually were working towards something. Trading felt like people had more of an understanding of how the game actually worked back in those days. Team of the weeks and happy hours. Oh Christ, do you remember happy hours? That was also a thing. That was a big deal, that you could actually buy some packs and it felt like it actually meant something. Probably was a scam, to be fair, but it didn't feel like it. Oh god, also Neymar. I forgot about Neymar. Yeah, Neymar existed. El Shaarawy. I forgot about El Shaarawy. I feel like this game should be higher up, actually. Like, should this be higher up? I don't know, because I loved all the other FIFAs too. I loved them all. Also, two big things to also keep in mind here. Head-to-head seasons. Now, this is in FIFA now. It's just called seasons, and it is completely forgotten about. Like, no one plays it anymore, and it makes me quite upset. But FIFA 12 brought in head-to-head seasons. KSI, for example, made it a massive thing. I mean, KSI was also a big part of this FIFA 12 upbringing as well, and a lot of YouTubers, all the skill compilations, SA Sports Gaming, AA9 Skills, My Player, all that good stuff, right? Is he worth it? Itani play reviews, the Nepenthez player subscriber series, the entire shebang, right? So head-to-head seasons was fantastic. I remember doing all-nighters playing with like Ivory Coast and Celtic and just a variety of random teams, 4.5-star teams, 4-star teams, and just having fun playing with actual teams. And then, how can I forget the Euro 2012 DLC? Potentially the greatest DLC to ever exist in FIFA. I mean, when you compare it to what we got this year with the World Cup, it makes you want to throw up. The quality, the creativity that game mode gave us was incredible, and it's never spoke about, but that DLC for Euro 2012 was incredible. You basically made your own country, playing in every group stage, playing in each group, taking players from each team that you beat to make like your own ultimate super team, to then play in the actual Euro and go win the Euro with your own country, just taking players across the entire way, and that means that everyone's experience is different. It was fantastic. I'm so happy that I just remembered that, because someone will have a go at me. But yeah, the Euro 2012 DLC is the best DLC we've ever had, and again, that should probably put it higher up. It really should. I should have FIFA 12 higher up, but I mean, we're up against some big daddies here, right? And yeah, I've got to put it somewhere. Top 5 doesn't mean it's about a game by any means. I just, when it comes to the gameplay, I remember it least compared to the others. So, yeah. Sorry about that. Number 4, I'm putting in FIFA 15. FIFA 15, for me, should have been a lot better, and it would be higher up, other than the fact that price ranges basically killed the game. When it came in at the end of the year, so many players were basically extinct and didn't even exist. But I just love the theme of this game. I love the feel of it. I love the career mode part of it. I remember Premier League having its own branding on this FIFA, and it was like mind blown, like mental. What? Premier League branding and career mode? And it felt like such a big thing, and it really was kind of lazy, and I shouldn't really have looked at it that way, but I did. I just did. I think a lot of people did as well, and I thought that was really cool. The fact that you got so many new stadiums, like a lot of stadiums in the game was in the game, like especially like Premier League stadiums, you can go and play in all of them. That wasn't really a thing. Only like the top teams you had the stadium for. But in 15, all the Premier League teams was in the game, and it was like, wow, mental. Felt like such a big shift, that it felt like a real career mode experience, that you're playing at the real stadiums with the real branding, and it's quite a simple thing when you think about it, but that made a big difference. There were massive changes to goalkeepers and the emotion of the game and the celebrations and agility. There was a big shift in terms of how players felt in the ball. It felt a lot more nimble. But my god, did I tell you about the soundtrack? The soundtrack, I think, for 15 is probably the best soundtrack ever. Like, it's so good. I think 15 is the best of the best when it comes to soundtracks. It was just perfect. Yeah, I love this game. It kicked ass. It really did. The gameplay for me, even looking back at it now, feels incredibly unique still. The meta in this game was pretty balanced. I think you can do kind of everything. It wasn't too OP. Like 14 was OP in a lot of things that we go into, but 15, it felt quite, you know, balanced. It was like you can do long shots, you could do finesse shots, you could do headers. It felt all kind of balanced. That's one thing I can give it credit for. But yeah, 15 will have a special place in my life. Okay, so FIFA 13. Let's talk about it. FIFA 13 is just my love child. I love it. I don't know why, but the menus in his FIFA is the best. The entire colourful ball in like the grey kind of hexagon background. It's really simple, right? But I love it. I love the look and the feel of this game. Every single part of it. I love the soundtrack. Recon Running, Kasabian. You've got everything that you want. Passion Pit to On Top of the World, Imagine Dragons. Everything that you want is there. Hadouken to Flow Rider's in here if you want Flow Rider. You've got Bastille in here. You got Panda. So iconic. FUT being the way that FUT was. You got S-Wine. Just so many fun cards, and it was quite balanced too. That the near post was pretty OP, but you can skill. Pace was a big factor too. It was pretty balanced in the grand scheme of things in terms of what you can really do. You had online tournaments with single player tournaments. You had single player tournaments with online tournaments. You've also had online seasons, which was only Div 5 to Div 1. That gets changed later on, but this was the first time we ever saw seasons in a FIFA. That was a big deal. Trading, I don't know why, but trading in this FIFA was just so fun to do. Like, trading was just really enjoyable, and it wasn't hard to do at all for me. Career mode had an iconic menu with features being relatively similar to 12 for the most part. It wasn't too much different, but the gameplay was much better. It was much more brighter and exciting. I liked it a lot more. And this is when FIFA YouTube was also a lot more serious as well. You also had, you know, KSI, Rotashow really getting up in terms of the FIFA YouTube world, but it wasn't the peak. I think we all know what the peak was, but like KSI was, I think KSI is the main reason why these FIFAs are just seen with such high regard and high nostalgia, and I think we kind of owe KSI a lot for what he did for our childhoods, because Jesus Christ, it was just chaos. The gameplay was fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. You could just use MNEK or Doumbia. Do whatever you want. It didn't really matter. Most people had like a Premier League team like Bale and Balotelli. Morelos was quite OP as well. FIFA 13 OP players. So you got like, you know, the 3-5-2 Brazilian team. So you got the likes of David Luiz, Felipe Santana, and Naldo being your main three centre backs. That was kind of all you needed. But yeah, I loved 13. The style of it, the gameplay, the soundtrack, everything. There's nothing that I would change about 13 really. However, second place is just more iconic for me, and that's really all I put it down to. Also, the career mode was great as well. I love the career mode. It just blended together really well, and I don't know, maybe I'm a real sucker for the colour scheme, but I just really just love this game and everything about it, and the memories, it just runs straight through. So, you may be surprised to see that in the top 2, FIFA 17 is still here. You may be really surprised to see that 17 is this high up. Well, you wouldn't be if you knew me. So, FIFA 14 or FIFA 17? Oh, God, okay. You're gonna hate me, but it's FIFA 14 in second place. I'm sorry! And look, 14 wasn't perfect when it comes to gameplay. I remember it very well. Running down the wings, cross the ball in, and headers. You got Benteke, you got Mandzukic, you got Zlatan. It was nuts, right? It was mental. However, good lord, it was fun. It was so fun. 14 is the most iconic FIFA. When you look back on 14, this is what you think of. Like, if I was to say FIFA, so if I was to pick out one random person on the street and say, choose FIFA for me, just pick FIFA, I think a lot of people was just kind of pick 14 or like the cover art of 14. I don't know why, that's just how I feel. 14 sold the second most copies. The soundtrack was incredible. in the introduction of legend cards was huge, and I think it was only an Xbox feature. You had chem styles onto the game, formation cards was removed, the menus were changed dramatically compared to FIFA 13, so it felt like a completely fresh experience. So many overpowered cards: Tratsa, Balotelli, Ibarbo, Benteke, even Jovetic, Eder, David Luiz, Martinez, Kevin De Bruyne, Dijk, Meyer, Eddie Johnson and Malapa, both silver cards, Mandzukic, Luis Gustavo, pretty much the entirety of the Bundesliga. Serie A teams as well, you know, we got Pogba and Guarin, Daniel Sturridge, Okore, Moreno, random team of season, Di Natale, so many random just OP cards, like so many great cards in this game that was all usable from different leagues, so it always felt like there was a variety of what you can pick in the game. Compared to FIFA nowadays, and you pretty much have everyone the same teams, it was kind of similar, but it wasn't obnoxious. It kind of felt like you always had a choice to play with a Serie A team, or play with a Premier League team, or play with a Brazil team, or play with a Brazilian team. You kind of always felt like I had that choice. Gameplay was pretty like just, you know, nonsense when it comes to how to actually play the game. Also, the shift between like Xbox 360 to Xbox One, or PS3 to PS4, that shift was a massive one. It felt like a completely different game. Like playing FIFA 14 on the new generation console was like a completely different world. Like the menus were different. It's like, you know, from light mode to dark mode, made it feel new to me, and the graphics were so different. I just loved it. I really loved it. Every single part of it. For a lot of people, this was peak FIFA YouTube, from the Basins, the AA9 skills, my players, to KSI and Ruttershaw, to Anise and Gibb, to Gonf, to iLucas, to Nepenthez, to so many different YouTubers. That was a big part of this year. Rossi HD, and also Matt HD Gamer, and Miniminter, and Cal Freezy, basically like the legends of the FIFA scene that you know now. This was when they were at their best, getting 5 million, 10 million, 16, touching 20 million views per video on like a Rotoshow video, pink slips, wagers, pack openings, career modes, everything. Like everything. This was the reason why the FIFA scene is what it is now. Like 13, it put in the hard yards, but when it comes to 14, this is really what FIFA was at its peak for me. When it comes to the community, the community felt like a community, right? It felt like it actually was together. Like you had pink slips, and you had one side of one community for like KSI playing against like a Gonf and their community, and they kind of all felt together. Nowadays, the community feels very lonely. It feels like no one really talks to each other that much, and if it is, it's just for opening packs and doing SBCs and objectives. And when's the last time you saw like two YouTubers just play against each other with something on the line, and it felt pressure, you felt that sort of intensity? I just love this. I love this. And Christ, I've not even talked about it, but the World Cup game mode, this was the World Cup game mode, the best. 18, it had the game mode, but they kind of ruined it with the SBC for the icons a few days in. This was the best version of the FIFA World Cup game mode. You had a variety of so many different leagues. You can only use players that you pack, and it felt tough and challenging. You were using players that you never used before. You had all the stadiums, unlike 23, that gave you literally like free, whatever it was pathetic. Actually saying that they didn't even give you an actual game mode, it was just like the most basic bare bones. It was disgusting. I feel sick even looking at FIFA 23 World Cup DLC, whatever it is. 14 is the most iconic FIFA, but it had its flaws. It makes it only top 3 because, again, everyone kind of just ran down the wings with pace and crossed the ball in with a big man and then just scored from a header. So here we go. Yeah, the top. Number 1. You may be seriously surprised. FIFA 17. 17 for me is number 1. The best FIFA. The best one. And that is because in almost every element of the game, everything was different. This was such a massive shift. Like, so much changed for career mode, for FUT, even pro clubs to an extent. The gameplay, the feel of the game, it felt like a new era, and I loved it. Like, good lord. Like, they changed everything. You had the journey. The journey was brought into the game. Massive deal. And I loved the journey for the most part, especially the first introduction of it. I did a video about 2 years ago saying that FIFA 17 is the perfect FIFA. The perfect FIFA. Everything was new. Everything felt fresh. You had, let me just list off some things that they brought into the game. So the journey, they brought in FUT Champions. They brought in Squad Builder Challenges. They brought in Frostbite. They brought in all of the FIFA esports new parts of the game as well. They brought in pack animations, like actual proper pack animations in a stadium with a walkout. That was all new as well in this FIFA. SBCs alone with FUT Champions should be enough. You had advanced SBCs, League SBCs, upgrades, so much that you can do. The FUT Champions rewards, the Elite monthly rewards, everything insane. Career mode had better objectives, better manager, you got traits, you've got much more in terms of the progress of your team. The game for me almost looked the best. Like I remember the pitch just looked really bright and contrasty, and I liked that. I loved the game back in this time period. It just looked a lot better than even some FIFAs recently do now. When some people got a bit bored of FIFA within like 16, 17 brought it all back, and it brought in so much new that I know FIFA really can compare to it in terms of how much it changed the game in one go. The journey, SBCs, FUT Champions, that alone is just insanity, and it gave people so much content and so much new things to do all at once that I don't think we'll ever see a shift in a game like that ever again. So many iconic promotions. You got the Team of Seasons with the daily knockout tournaments. You've also got the Footmas. Oh my god, Footmas. Footmas was so amazing. It was so mind-blowing. It was iconic and generational in terms of story and gameplay. The soundtrack to proper FIFA songs as well. It was the beginning of the new generation, the Frostbite generation, and it went off of a bang. And ever since then, ever since 17, it's kind of been going a little bit downhill. And also 17 felt really balanced. Like it felt like you could do anything. Like there was a skill gap. There was a proper skill gap in the game. I remember like #Harry back in these days doing a bronze team in FUT Champions, getting top 100 with a bronze team. Imagine trying to get top 100 with a bronze team now. Like I also wasn't that good at this game, but I didn't care because it was so much new that I had to play it anyway. I put myself through it and I tried my best to learn the game, and there was a proper skill gap. It felt really fast and fluid to dribble and move the ball like what OG FIFA did, but it felt like it was quite balanced, unlike a 14, that you can really do anything. You can cross the ball in, you can go much more high up the pitch, target man, you can go and use the skilled nimble players, use pace and finesse shots and near post and cross body and a lot of different varieties. So here you can still skill back in these games as well. There was a much higher skill gap, and that's why I love this game, that it had a skill gap with all these new features, and it felt all new, and it changed everything. And for me, 17 is, even though the FIFA scene may not have been amazing on YouTube compared to like 14, 15, the actual game itself was just too iconic for me. And looking back on it, this changed absolutely everything. And you didn't need to get insane cards. You can go and use a BPL team for like the entire year, like a standard 15, 20k team, and still do well. And I enjoyed that because you still had variety in how you play. And if you were a better player, then you would win for the most part. So I loved it. I really did. This is a long video. I waffled a lot of it. I really enjoyed this. And I want to say thank you to FIFA. Even though we've had our differences, diss tracks and that, changed my life, and I think it's changed a lot of people's lives too. So thank you for that, and I'll see you next time for another video. Tell me your thoughts down below in the comments. It's a long video, a rambly one, but I hope that you enjoyed nonetheless, and I'll see you soon. Peace out.